Day 22. And today, actually, I wanted to talk about something that a friend of mine sent an email this morning about yet another coach talking about how she hates Instagram and social media and how, she is taking the day off or a week off or a year off and talking about all the pressure of being a coach and the need to be constantly present and creating content and all this stuff. And it's something that I am not immune to, but for me, who never planned to be a coach, who got to where I am today through sheer coincidence or just flow, right? Just following breadcrumbs. I consider social media an incredible event in my life, mostly highly positive. So, for example, when social media just happened and my children, then early teens, immediately jumped on it, and it took me forever because I was like afraid of it. I didn't know it. I was very much against it because I didn't understand what it was. When I got to the point in my life where I started needing to express, where the community in my geographical location, the relationships that I have cultivated until then were no longer fulfilling because the things that I wanted to talk about were now very different than what I am used to talking about, here, or what I used to talk about. My life has changed so dramatically that for me, the event of going on social media changed my life. It saved my life. It stretched the limitations of physical barriers, of physical limitations. It stretched it and blew it up. And today I'm interacting with people from all over the world and all of this for free. So, for example, for somebody like me who, and I mean millions and millions and millions of entrepreneurs like me who start by creating a movement or spreading their message or writing their heartfelt, insights on social media, we're doing it for free. And we today have the tools to create a business that can sustain us, or at least a portion of our life. And so many people really make beautiful, living, very, very luxurious and abundant living from this platform, whether it's Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube, that is free. So, we can talk about all the things that are bad about it or wrong about it, but to me, it's the same way as anything, right? We can talk about, for example, like I spent years talking about how miserable I was in my marriage because of my husband, or I spent years talking about how miserable I was having been raised by my parents under patriarchy. Yeah. And we can say the same thing. Oh, Instagram, when I look at younger women who are already younger and beautiful, and they use filters, and they look so different than me, I could become a victim, but I'm just not, because it ultimately is up to each one of us to decide how we want to show up to all of our relationships, whether it's with Instagram, whether it's with people in our lives, whether it's with our government or with our relatives. It's how do you want to show up? How do you show up? Am I going to be sitting around looking at my gray hair, trying to cover up my wrinkles and put gazillion filters on? But then that defeats the whole purpose of who I am and what I'm trying to do. So there is room, even on Instagram, for different ways of expressing ourselves. And I personally have never felt under pressure to be a certain way. The only thing I did do is that, a year ago, I also created a website, and now I have my brand colors and all that stuff. But I still am very, very committed to the fact that my message and my presence on the internet remains as true to me as possible. And yes, that sort of shifts with me. It shifts with me as I am shifting, as I'm growing, as I'm expanding, as I am learning new things about myself. I change also some of my messages and the way I show up, perhaps. But what I'm trying to say with all this is that every situation can be looked at in a variety of ways. So which angle will you choose? Because, yeah, the way you look at, basically nobody's forcing us to go on social media. Nobody's forcing us to open our accounts. I consider a great blessing the fact that I have this platform where I started by expressing just my own, journey to awareness and expansion and healing my relationships with myself and people in my life. And now I have people who are so grateful that I'm sharing it because it helps them connect to something within themselves, and that I put words to feelings that they didn't know they had or didn't know how to express. So for me, this whole experience of being on social media is just an overwhelmingly positive one. And I don't mean to say that everybody should have the same experience as I do. But what I am saying, and it's what I always say, is that we always have a choice. We always have a choice. So if you find irritated by something on outside of you, then you are kind of making yourself stuck by thinking that the problem or the issue is on outside of you, because that's when we feel stuck. But if you realize that there isn't anyone on outside of you who is trying to limit you, and that you always have a choice, then it becomes a different kind of relationship altogether. It becomes much more empowering. So just like with Instagram, with people in our relationship, it's the same thing. We spend so much time complaining about our partners or our parents, and yet our experience, as I always say, everything that we are feeling is ours. Whatever is happening on the outside will continue happening on the outside, or maybe it'll shift and change. But the impressions, the experience of that's happening in our body, it's ours. So whether it's painful or pleasant, seek within. What is it about it being painful, for example, right? What is it about the pressure some people think and complain about on social media? Yeah, we talk about how other people post their highlight reels, and then we get upset. So, okay, well, why do you get upset? Other people can do whatever they want. What do you want to do, right? The pressure we put on ourselves, and I know what I'm talking about because I've spent years suffering from the pressure from out there, from society or people outside of me or my parents or patriarchy at large. And it didn't really do anything. It didn't give me, until I understood that my impressions are within. So, for example, if we feel pressure to be something different or to compete because of the images we see on Instagram, well, that reminds us of something else. Maybe there is some other pressure we succumb to. And I understand all that because I was that person as well. But today I am giving myself permission to do whatever the hell I want on Instagram, regardless of what other people may be doing. And I mean, I see what other people are doing. Sometimes it acts as an inspiration. And maybe sometimes I see something that I don't like and I make a mental note that that's something that I would never do. And that's okay. But nobody's forcing us to do anything. Nobody's making us feel anything. So, if you are on social media, I just feel like for me, it's amazing that my maturation, my process has happened at a time when we had access to social media, and I could start sharing my message with people outside of my geographic location, and I found a tribe who like-minded people from all over the world, and it feels amazing. I feel so connected. I feel so fulfilled. I feel so not alone, all because of social media. So, I just wanted to put this out there today because every situation can be looked at in a variety of ways. And I think that it's interesting for me, when coaches who live because of their presence on social media, who attract their clients through social media, and that they then also somehow put it down. We always have a choice. We always have a choice. And if we choose to participate in something consciously, well, then we are empowered. And if we choose not to participate in something consciously, that's also empowered. It's only when we are participating in something that we don't want to participate in, that's when we become a victim. And then we feel like somebody else from outside is putting pressure on us, but nobody outside is putting pressure on you about anything. It's a choice, even if it's not, conscious. Whatever we do against our own will is still a choice once we give ourselves that time to reflect and to choose. And there is no judgment either way, as long as it's your choice. But everybody has a choice, especially coaches who are, dealing with life in a little bit more of a kind of aware state. Anyway, so this is what I wanted to share today, because it all begins with us. The way we show up to anything, to any relationship, is what we bring to it. And, and everything is a relationship, whether with social media or with people or with money or with life at large. It's all a relationship. That's why I'm so fascinated by relationships, because everything is a relationship. Anything that we're interacting with is a relationship. All right. See you tomorrow, everyone.